It's time for episode 312 of the 3 Point Podcast, presented by the great folks at Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Check out memorialhealthcare.org for details and everything they offer, including kids' swimming lessons and a whole lot more. Also want to thank our other great partners. They include AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. Well, we're recording this on Tuesday night. I thought we might have to do it Monday night, but Jared had other work duties. So I just made it back today, boys, from an elongated weekend trip to started out in Pittsburgh and ended up in D.C. to see the grandkids. It all worked out real well. I mean, Pittsburgh, I love the Steel City, as you know. Saw Chi-Town at Tequila Cowboy on Thursday night. Also had a nice dinner up on Mount Washington. You never can go wrong with a visit to Pittsburgh. That got me started. And then D.C. was really cool. Every time we go there, I don't know about you guys. I mean, Jared, you've been there once. Matt, you've been there a few times, I think.
Yeah.
We try to do something different, every time. You can't go to the same museums and see the same monuments. So we decided take a Saturday afternoon, and it was embassy open house day for the Euro Union. So all the European nations had their embassies open to the public. We had to wait in a little bit of line, but it was really cool. We went through a couple of them because we got a late start, but we went through Slovakia and Austria, and they had all kinds of free food from those countries that they feature. And I don't know if you knew this, but when you're in an embassy, you're technically on their soil. It's their land. So I can now say I've been in Slovakia and Austria. So that's my claim to fame.
So, well, must not, but you don't have to have a passport, or, you don't get your passport stamped if
you do. Yeah, we did get, it wasn't our passport stamped. I guess I could have, if I would have taken my passport in there, but we did get a little card with, a stamp on it.
That's cool.
Do they all look the same? I guess I don't
know.
Like you see one, you see them all. What exactly was this event?
No, they're all different. I mean, when you think about the different countries and the pomp and circumstance they have, the different colors, the different traditions, like at the Slovakia one, they had a buffet bar set up, and their specialty, and this is pretty heavy in that part of the world, it was potatoes with sauerkraut and bacon. That was their specialty. No carbs that day, of course. And then Austria, I mean, what are they known for? They got beer, and they're known for, I guess, their coffee. I didn't know that. So they had that set up in their stand, and they had polka players. They had a guy on the accordion and a lady on the guitar and the singing. They're singing Austrian songs, like Sound of Music stuff. And the Czech Republic, or the Slovakia, I should say, they had a group out front singing Slovakian songs. So it was all good. But really, the thing that I noticed, which really brings everything to what's going on in the world, we had to walk right by the Israeli embassy. So there was the Palestinian protesters all over the place. I mean, there was heavy police, people around, making sure there was nothing going on. It was all peaceful when we were there. Good. So that was good. But yeah, seeing that up close and personal really hit home.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's kind of a shame with everything that's going on with that whole situation, but it's a cool thing to experience, getting to walk in the other embassies. I don't know if this is the question Jared was trying to ask, or maybe I'm just wondering, it's basically just, they're all the same building, right? It's not like the Chinese one would be some crazy Chinese building.
Oh, no, they each have their own building, their own building with their own architecture. I mean, it's in kind of in the Georgetown area, if you know where that's at. I mean, it's a little bit off of it, where the vice president's house, it's on the naval base there, and it's right in that area of Washington. I mean, there's, tons of these embassies. It's just, they call it Embassy Row. There's houses different. It's like a college in the fraternity row, similar to that. Yeah.
So each building is different. That's what I was wondering. If each, when you go down to a corporate park or something, and it's just office. I didn't know if it was like that. So yeah, that is really cool to experience. And like you said, the amount of times that you guys have been to DC trying to do different stuff every time. Well, there you go. You found something different to do.
It was cool. Now, the big story we hear, I don't know if Jared had a chance to see it. Of course, it was all over the news, the Northern Lights. Here we go to DC. We don't get a chance to see it.
They stretched out there, though, didn't they? Because it happened down here, too.
Yeah. I didn't see it in DC. I think it was just because where we were located, too much lights going on. But
I kid you not. So I had no idea that those were even going on. My girlfriend went back into town for Mother's Day, so I was staying at our current place all by myself.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there just watching TV like 10:30 at night. All of a sudden she calls me, like super excited, like, dude, look at did you know there's like Northern Lights? You can see them right now. I kind of felt like a jerk. She's like, do you want me to FaceTime you? You can see them. I'm like, no. No, I don't really care to see it.
Not a surprise.
With all her friends. So more so it was like, I mean, do I really want to, for the 30 seconds I'm gonna look at these lights, be making small talk for the next 15 minutes? Like, nah, not really. So kind of a judgment call. But no, I never got to see him. I kind of regretted it once I did see some of the pictures and videos. It looked very cool. I mean, I hate to say it, Ted, your Lake Manitou setup, I mean, you really kind of missed what was probably a top 5 all-time night sitting out on your patio. You got a perfect lookout for it. You missed it.
Yeah, it would have been cool. But to be fair, since I am quite a bit older, I have seen them before. So it's not like I haven't seen them. But yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, it does happen. Obviously more like up in the UP, I feel like you can see them almost all the time.
Every year. Right.
Depending on the time of year. But yeah, you could see them down here. I know like in Michigan, or there was that stretch around Michigan through the Midwest where it was very prominent, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, kind of like what you said, you being in DC here in Charlotte, it was, you could see a little bit, but it was, too many lights with the city. So we didn't get a very good look. But yeah, the pictures look pretty cool. Some people, out in the country or up in northern Michigan really got a good look at them.
Yeah, some guy took a picture that made it. He was from the Byron area, and it made it to GMA. And I saw it in the newspaper tonight when I was catching up on the news. He took a great shot. He had the purple sky, and he had the water tower in Byron, which is yellow. What a great photo that was. The school colors and just a classic photo, and made it nationally.
Right on to GMA. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what? It's kind of the craziest part of this whole segment is, and this is like, I mean this in a good way. You have such a like you do a lot of shit like Ted. So it's funny when you just glossed over going to Pittsburgh. Like that was essentially, whereas like you're going to hear in 5 seconds, it's like my life's so boring. I have to make stories out of nothing. Dating back to our pod a few weeks ago when you said nice story after I had like a 5-minute soliloquy. So I just think it's interesting that you do all these crazy things, and it's like, yep, I just was in Pittsburgh. Like, that's it. Yeah. I'm out. Like, and okay, so meanwhile, I'm gonna talk about going to Arby's for the next 3 minutes. So about a week ago,
Arby's sometimes can be an experience. So I get it.
This was a good experience. I tell you what, like, I don't know how to I'm just gonna preface it. I saw Justin Verlander's no-hitter in 2007. This is kind of the fast food equivalent of that. So I'm just gonna preface it with that. So I go to Arby's late night, like 10 o'clock, coming back into town from Corona. Mother's Day, actually. It was on Sunday. And it's kind of hungry. We had like steak and stuff, but it was at like 5 o'clock. We ate. I was like, I just wanted some mozzarella sticks, something small. Mm-hmm. So I'm running through. I go to Arby's. I pull into this right off of Southfield Road. Lights are like, it looks like the place is closed. I'm like very confused. Like, man, this place looks like closed. Like 9 o'clock. I'm shocked it's closed. So I'm like, all right, I'll just go check around back. Maybe it's not closed. I wheel around back. The whole drive-through, like probably 4 or 5 cars in this drive-through line. No cars in the parking lot, which back to my original point, like, I don't think anybody's here. Like, there's nobody here. They're all hidden in the drive-through behind. I wheel up. As soon as I get to the line, I go right up to the window. The guy takes my order right away. I'm in and out of Arby's in about 3 minutes. I'm still like looking around like, man, there's no cars here. Like, how is there one guy working in this damn place? We're moving along quickly at the fastest pace I've ever seen an Arby's line move. Next thing I know, I'm at the window. I was so impressed with how quickly it moved. I'm like, I just got to ask. Like, this one kid walks up. Like, dude, are you the only person working here right now? He's like, yeah, I had 3 people call in. He's like, I'm pretty sure they colluded and called in like on purpose. I'm the only person here. I kid you not. I sat for the next 3 minutes while he was whipping up my meal, watched him through this drive-through window. This guy was a maestro. He really was. I was taken aback by it. I compared it to Justin Verlander's no-hitter, 2007. He was operating at an efficiency like Billy Bean from Moneyball would have been. Like, blown away by. I was in and out. Next thing I know, like 5 minutes, literally from the time I pulled to window, time I'm out, he served like 5 people in the matter of about 5 minutes. And basically the whole genesis of the story, or not even much of a story, but my thought that crossed my head is you hear about stories, like I think it's Pursuit of Happiness, where the guy lets him ride in a taxi with him, like, you have 5 minutes to sell me, like, on why I should hire you, or it's something along those lines.
Right.
Pulled back and forth. Leads to him finally getting the job at the very end, that brief little conversation with that guy. I was like, man, if I was like Mark Cuban or somebody like that, and I pulled up in my sports car to this Arby's and I saw this 18-year-old kid just putting on an absolute clinic on how to run a fast food joint, like, I'm hiring this guy. He's jumping through the drive-through window. I'm opening up my door. He's hopping in the passenger seat. We're wheeling out. I just had never seen anything like it. And I've seen like tweets before where there's a famous one of a guy working at like a movie theater spinning the popcorn and like getting the butter all over every little popcorn. And it's like the caption on it, something like, if you're going to do something, like, do something right. I was so taken aback by this guy just operating in the zone. Like, he's shooting a basketball, he's shooting it into an ocean, the way he was operating this Arby's. So I don't know what this guy's name is. I wish I could write a review and leave a stellar review on this Arby's on Southfield Road's like Facebook page. But I just felt that if maybe somehow, some way this podcast finds its way to that guy's ears, like, give us a ring. Maybe we can find a role for you here at 3 Point Podcast. That's where I'm at with this Arby's employee.
Wow.
Sounds like that was your way of telling me to clip that review off and post it on their Facebook page.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing. Like, they're like, literally, we had one guy working this place.
Right.
Like, seriously, think about that. You go to a McDonald's or a Wendy's, and there'll be like 10 people. You're wondering what the hell's taking so long. You look through the drive-through window. They're like in there chopping it up, dancing, playing music, like through the speakers. You can hear it through the drive-through window. Yeah. This is one solo dolo man manning an entire restaurant. Like, on paper, it sounds not that impressive, but when you really think about it, is there anything more impressive than what that guy was doing that night?
That is hilarious, man. That fits right into kind of the opposite experience that Lana, my wife, had at a BK on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. She went in to order something. She had the worst service ever. In fact, I had time to take a 15-minute cat nap in the car. She still hadn't got her food yet. So, and she even came out and she never complained. She says, I feel like writing a letter to them. This is ridiculous. And I'm just kind of segueing that to you. Yeah, we can put something on social media, but it sounds like really you ought to go the next step. If you know who this kid is or would recognize him.
I know where you're going. We need to.
No, I was going to say
what just he does, why he's so good at his job,
or tell his manager how you appreciated it.
I didn't get his name. That's the thing. It all happened so fast. I was in and out in 5 minutes before I even could blink. He's in there by himself, whipping it all up. Tasted delicious, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could probably, if you told them it was Mother's Day night, they would know the one guy that showed up to work.
Sure. Yeah. No, you're right. I'm gonna
say, hey, I was here Sunday night and there was one kid working.
Those kind of things go a long way, man. They really do.
Have you guys ever really left like a negative review about one singular employee, whether it's in person, telling the manager, can I talk to the manager? I gotta be honest, that's kind of pointed toward you, Ted. Seems like something you maybe have done in the past.
No, I probably have done something similar, but I don't remember pointing out an individual. I do know that there's a couple times where I've had to get a little bit stern and saying, what part of this don't you understand? That type of thing. But nothing to where I had to report somebody to the manager. And, and I've never been one of these people that when I get an order, let's say that my burger's overdone, I never send it back. Right. I pointed out to the waitress though. I say, yeah, this really wasn't what I ordered, but, I'll take it back. And I always say, no, never mind. It's okay.
Right. Yeah. No, I've never been one to do the make a big scene at a restaurant or at a store if an order is wrong or, whatever. Sometimes my wife kind of rolls her eyes because she might want to, say something. I'm like, whatever. It's not a big deal. Who cares? Right. If it's something drastic, yes, for sure. If the order is completely wrong, go ahead and say something. But I don't know if it's like I'm not confrontational like that or something, but I just sometimes don't think it's necessary to sweat it very much. People get upset about stuff sometimes that it's like, I don't know if that's really worth getting so upset about. But if someone does something great now, Yeah, pass on the good reviews, that's for sure. I always say the same thing about like Amazon reviews or whatever product you're buying or whatever it is. Some people like live and die by the reviews, or even Tedertainment tonight, the Rotten Tomatoes reviews. Some people like live and die by those reviews. Oh, I was going to buy this, I don't know, kitchen table, and I read the reviews and they were all terrible or something. It's like, I just always think the only people that write the reviews are the ones that have a terrible experience. So it's going to be all negative reviews, or maybe the couple that are like best table ever, or something like that. The people that just get their table and it's fine, they're not going to go on there and write a review. They're moving on with their lives. So sometimes same with movies.
Yeah.
I know some people are paid to give the reviews, so they're going to do that. But sometimes I'm like, the only people that are going to write that review on Rotten Tomatoes are the ones that want to completely bash it and they hate the actor or something.
Yeah, but
unless it's unfrosted, then it's basically that's just flat out. This is how we have to review this movie.
Let's save that for a little later. There might be a rebuttal coming. I was going to say though, real quick, when you are buying something on Amazon that you're not quite sure of, you look at the reviews, don't you? I mean, I do, just to kind of get a feel.
Yeah, I'll glance. The main thing I might do is see how many reviews. If I'm going to buy something and it's like 2 reviews that are 4 stars, that's out the window. I don't even care. But if it's like 4,500 reviews and it's 4.5 stars,
it's
okay,
good.
that's pretty good. I'll go with it. Maybe like that. But no, I don't live and die by the reviews, I guess. I always think it's one of those things. You're gonna whatever it is in life. We're getting like preachy here. You make of what you want to make it. The people that are like maybe say, I don't DC, why would anyone want to go to DC? I can't stand going out there. I don't know. I love it. People rip on me, Jared, or whoever. Why do you go to Disney so much? We have a great time at Disney. I love going to Disney, to each their own,
Oh, that's a lesson. That's a lesson many young people should learn. Don't pay attention to peer pressure. Yep. You know what I mean? That's like one of the worst things. I agree with you. If you like it, you like it.
Same with movies. If you like Unfrosted, watch it again. Watch it as many times as you want. If you enjoyed it, watch it.
Absolutely. By the way, speaking of reviews and whatnot, remember, you listeners, give us a rating, whether it's good or bad. We'd love to hear from you. See what you think. We do have another billing cycle coming up down the road, so we want to make sure all our sponsors are happy. You're enjoying this. So we enjoy bringing it to you every week. 312 episodes, 7 years. Still hard to believe. And our hardest thing, really, just picking a day or night to get together to do it. Other than that, we just
you're out in DC, and Jared or I have work duties or family duties or whatever going on. So that's really the hardest part, is finding time to line up an hour and a half or whatever it is or also if you have a guest ideas, this worker at Arby's, good guest idea, or if there's someone else that you'd like us to interview.
That'd be clutch. Before we move on to talk a little sports, we got to definitely, even though it's after the fact, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, man. I mean, your mothers, your wife, they do the grunt work. They're so special and valuable. You can't even put into words. So they definitely deserve a big day to really not do anything, if that's possible.
Yeah. Mother's Day is always fun. Try and come up with, like you said, you go to DC.
Yep.
And try and do something different. Kind of fun to do that on Mother's Day. Try a different restaurant, or I don't know, do some sort of different activity.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a small complaint about our family. Let's keep it to like literally 45 seconds and move it on. We don't spend. So what I've noticed, my grandpa passed away, about a year ago. Grandma 4 years ago.
Right.
Is since those 2 big pillars in our family have passed away, rest in peace, obviously. The big events we used to always get together for as a big family is no longer a thing. Mother's Day, we always used to have, 20, 30 people meeting for Mother's Day. Father's Day is coming up. We're probably not going to do anything for it. You, as the eldest statesman in the family, I'm just throwing it on your radar. I'm not saying you got to do anything about it. Can we get this back together again?
Yeah, I probably can, Jared. You're right. We probably ought to pinpoint some of those key days that you guys have memories. First of all, one nice thing that the tradition seems to be that will continue is our Black Lake trip. That's continuing on. I mean, you guys grew up going up there every year. So that's always locked in. We've kept the Christmas tradition where it's the Saturday before Christmas. So that's 2, but I agree with what you're saying. Father's Day, Mother's Day, I'll see what I can do to stir up the Fab Five and see if we get it on the calendar.
That's all I'm saying.
Not a bad
somehow I knew this was going to come back to you, Ted.
It always does. It always does.
Some sort of shot at you, but it is crazy, how some of those traditions do kind of start to fall apart, whether it's people, because we had some stuff in our family that we did for a long time growing up, and people start moving across the country, or, just kind of growing up and getting involved with kids and stuff. And it's tough to keep that stuff going. It really is.
It is.
So yeah, even if you keep the one thing, the Black Lake trip, I know that's a big one for you guys. Keep that thing going. That's pretty cool.
Black Lake and Frankenmuth for Christmas. Those 2 will be around for a long time. We'll see what we can add to that. All right, fellas, let's get into the meat and potatoes. There's a lot of stuff going on in sports, a lot of breaking stuff, including Jared Goff with a big signing. We'll get into all that right after this. Why don't we start there, boys? I mean, it's the NFL. They're the king. Jared Goff, they finally got the deal done. They've spent a lot of money on some of their players, which is well deserved. I know there's people out there that maybe think they spent too much, but they got their guy locked up for 4 years. If they want him for 4 years, I think there's an out after a couple of years. 170 million guaranteed, not bad. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I thought I read, is he the second highest paid player in the NFL right now?
As far as
salary,
the guaranteed and the salary, but we all know that's going to change.
It's going to change, right?
So it's not going to last very long. And everyone who listens to our podcast, and you guys definitely know, I'm not the biggest Jared Goff fan, but I'll be the first one to say that he deserved to get this extension. Mm-hmm. He's done everything that the Lions have asked and everything that the Lions have needed from a quarterback going through this rebuild. Coming off of the Matt Patricia days when that roster was just a train wreck. Brand new coach, Dan Campbell, no one really knew how he was going to be as a head coach. Jared Goff has done everything to deserve that extension, and really, I'm happy that position is stabilized, for the Lions. Again, he's not Patrick Mahomes, he's not Joe Burrow, he's not maybe a top 2 or 3 quarterback in the league, but he's not also a bottom 20. It's always one of those, like, you could do much worse. If you let him go and you say, all right, next draft, we're just going to draft a guy, you have no idea what you're going to get. Even if Caleb Williams is supposed to be the best quarterback since Patrick Mahomes or whatever, you have no idea what you're getting. So lock that position in. You've got your guy. He's still young. He's in the prime of his career. He's got a good, 4 years on the deal, but really he's probably, they might sign him again after that. Who knows?
Yeah.
And, he deserves it, I guess is what I'm saying. I've been critical of him, but you can't let a guy like that just walk, because he's been exactly what the Lions needed.
Well, he's got three or four things going for him. He's a leader on that team. He knows the offense well. He knows how to run it. He's durable, and he doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, those are 4 big things right there.
Yeah, I think he's like one of maybe 2 quarterbacks, I think, in the last 2 years didn't miss a game. Like, durability, number one ability is durability. That's not the exact quote, but anyway,
close enough.
I'm just glad it got done, and we weren't going into a year where Jared Goff was going to be hanging on with one year left on his deal, basically with the constant question mark of what's going to happen after this year. They got the deal done, essentially almost reset the market. Yeah, he's second only behind Joe Burrow. I mean, seeing like what Kirk Cousins got, Jared Goff gets it done, man. Wins in big spots. I honest to God think if the Lions have the season we think they're going to have, don't be surprised if Jared Goff is maybe, 1 or 2 top MVP candidates going into the later half of the year. I really think if the Lions start strong, he has the stats to back it up. The Lions are basically America's number 1 team right now. I don't think it's that far-fetched, and I would honestly be very curious to see what his odds would be to win the MVP next year. Might be worth a flyer, Ted. I know you drove down to Battle Creek, placed the whatever it was $10 bet on their over-under wins. Like, throw $10 on Jared Goff MVP. I think it's legit a lot more possible than we really realize.
Yeah, you might be right. Do you guys still have that? Do you guys still have that just little hinge of hesitation thinking that last year was the year, and then it might slide now. They'll still be competitive, obviously, because they have a good team. But to actually get that Super Bowl, do you think that
Right.
is there any thoughts? I hate to have any negative thoughts about the Lions, to tell you the truth, but I just have that hanging.
I think because it's the Lions, it's too hard not to have those thoughts.
Right.
It's not like we're the 49ers that are like traditionally a good team, or the Packers, something like that, or obviously Patriots with their dynasty and some of these other teams. But the Lions have never had like a good 5-year run where they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender every year.
Mm-hmm.
They maybe have that one hot year and then it's down. One good year and then it's down. And it's also like everything last year, we've talked about this a lot, but everything last year went right. Like you just said, Jared Goff available, no major injuries. A couple guys missed a game here or there, but no major injuries. Going into the playoffs, basically everyone was healthy. Offensive line was healthy. The running backs, receivers, overall, like for an NFL team, everything went as right as possible last year. So that's the only thing. You just never know what's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, the Jet, fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever you want to say, nothing happens. But what, four plays into the season last year, Rodgers blew out his Achilles for the Jets.
Yeah,
you never know what's going to happen. And that's the one thing that I'm just like, oh, last year was right there.
I know.
Last year they were up 14 points on the 49ers. Like it was right there.
Man.
So, but no, everything on paper, they've made good draft picks. They've signed some good players. They got their key players locked up.
Yep.
They should be right back in it.
Yeah, everything they've done makes you think that this is a team that's built for the long haul. They're young. Yep. Injuries, again, I mean, can't be overstated what you guys said. Injuries are so key to any team's success.
Yeah.
We've so far dodged that injury bug to our main guys, it feels like, during this regime. So just knock on wood that continues. I mean, I do think it is a bit of a skill. Like Jared Goff, it's like, for how immobile he is, it does not seem like he does not take big hits. It's impressive. He's so quick getting the ball out of his hand, on time, on target, great offensive line. I mean, the offensive line, you almost plan on losing a guy or two throughout the year. So we'll see. I just can't believe how quickly I got over that San Francisco loss. I really never thought I would when it happened in real time. It's like, man, this is going to hang over us forever. I guess it still could. Let's say things go really south this year. I just don't expect it to. And I can't wait for the season to get underway. I mean, the schedule is coming out tomorrow.
Yeah,
I already saw a rumored potential Sunday night opening weekend matchup of Lions versus Rams. Rams coming to Detroit.
Woo!
It's exciting. It is. I'll tell you what, the number one thing I'm hopeful for with this schedule release, get us the Lions Christmas Day game. We already have Thanksgiving. I'm being a little selfish and trying to take all the big time games. The Lions are the number one watchable team right now. That's never been the case for any Detroit team ever, even when they've won titles. This is a fun team. Let's take the best games for ourselves and enjoy them. I saw a few of the potential Christmas Day matchup games that there could be for the Lions would be against the Bills, away at Dallas, home against the Packers, away versus the 49ers. I mean, I don't know about you guys. Give me Green Bay Packers at home Christmas Day. A little bit of vengeance for Thanksgiving last year. Let's do it. That's my number one hope with the schedule coming out tomorrow.
You guys know how big of an NBA fan I am.
Right.
If the NFL starts taking over Christmas Day, and especially if they start putting the Lions on Christmas Day, sorry, NBA. I mean, it's just I'm locked into the NFL. Maybe if there's a really, really big NBA game on Christmas Day, but especially if the Lions are on Christmas Day now, like you said,
Jared, anymore. I mean, I'll be like, I thought it was so stupid, and I hated that the NFL came and took the Christmas Day from the NBA. But I tell you what. It's like it was Dolphins versus Packers last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago. I was like, I'm watching every snap of this game. It's like really not even that good of teams, but I want to see it play out. So that's where I'm at with Christmas. Like, football is perfect for Christmas.
100%. There's no doubt about it. I did the same thing. I think was there 2 games last year?
I believe 2 games. Yes,
I watched both those games in their entirety. It was great. Yeah. So that's awesome, man. I can't wait to see what the schedule does and what primetime games they have. It's exciting to be a Lion fan for sure. Now you go from the Lions to our NBA team. We'll talk a little NBA. I mean, the draft lottery, once again, what a freaking fiasco. This is It's just so stupid. It has to be abolished. Of course, we're Pistons fans. Of course, we've been screwed. Of course, they have bad management, but this is just not fair. It's just not fair to have a league. It just isn't fair.
It sure seems like something's up with this draft. It doesn't seem like it's a lottery lottery, because the Pistons have had the number. They've been in the lottery the last 8 years basically, but they had the number 1 pick 4 years ago with Cade Cunningham, and then they've had 3 straight number 5 picks. And 2 of the years they've had the worst odds, or I guess you would say the best odds to get the number 1 pick. So like this year, it was them and the Wizards, both 14% chance to get the number 1 pick. Somehow the Pistons ended up at number 5 again. And it's just like, how are, the whole lottery was put in place to avoid tanking. So teams don't just tank so they can get the number 1 pick. People say that's what some teams do in the NFL. Who cares? But the NFL, you can turn your team around quickly with a number 1 pick. The NBA is a little different. Like, you need more pieces. Victor Wembanyama, who, is with the Spurs right now. Guys like that don't come around very often. And, this draft specifically is just not very good. And the number 5 pick, it really is. Maybe they end up with a good player. There's, a couple guys out of Kentucky that look good. UConn won the national championship. They have a couple guys that are projected into the top 10. And then, it's a bunch of guys from overseas, from Australia and, other European countries and stuff that you have no idea how this is going to play out. So you keep getting the number 5 pick as the Pistons. And it is kind of like, what do you expect to do? You hope Cade Cunningham turns into a star, but he's got to be like, can I get traded? Can I please go somewhere else? Because we're just stuck in the dumps.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of an overreaction about this lottery luck this year, especially. I mean, we were talking a couple weeks ago. It's like the quote that's really stuck on my brain. I think I said it already, but like, this is the draft that gets you fired as a GM if you get the number 1 pick. So like, in terms of the, this singular draft lottery, it's like, who really cares?
Right.
But it's more so just like, it's like what we said, it's the continuous year after year getting screwed by this system that's not even working. It's not even working. Tanking is still going on. Believe me, more than ever. Like, just abolish it, man. And it's like, you sound like a conspiracy theorist, like saying it's rigged, but like, do we have an actual case? Like, this might be rigged at this point. Right. It's like the Wembanyama thing. It's like, oh, this lined up perfectly. Tony Parker, the former France star, goes to Popovich. He's going to learn under Popovich for a few. Like, it was almost so scripted. Like, you almost had to be like, oh yeah, they definitely weren't going to let him land in Detroit.
Right.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. It's the NBA, man. In the NFL, it's like, we're talking about tanking in the NFL. You can't tank in the NFL. The sport, it's like, if you go into a game like half-ass, like, you might die on a football game.
Right.
With basketball, it's like, these guys don't even care. It's like, just get me to Cancun already.
Right. I 100% agree. They just got to get rid of it. They just have to. But for transparency reasons, it does make you conspiracy people think that it's rigged, because they don't do the old ping pong ball anymore.
Right.
It's sitting right in front of the GMs what their pick is. I mean, that's absolutely stupid.
Yeah, at least if they did the ping pong ball thing, at least that would make it seem like it's not rigged.
Right.
I mean, nowadays people want to say everything is rigged. It seems like that became a cool thing to say or whatever. It's rigged. Everything's rigged. But it sure seems like something's up with this NBA lottery, because like the Spurs this year, after getting Wembanyama, they have 2 top 10 picks. They have like number 4 and number 8. Yep. So it's like, oh, you get the number 1 pick and get Wembanyama, and then now you have 2 top 10 picks. So Spurs are going to be turned around just like that, like it's nothing. And here are the Pistons just stuck in the mud, doing nothing, hoping that Cade Cunningham just all of a sudden turns into the next Kevin Durant or something. And it's just a shame.
I don't see a way out. I mean, even if you had the wildest imagination, like Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder edition, even then, I don't think you could see a way out with really a lot of like, not even just the Pistons. It's like a lot of these teams, like Trailblazers. Like, how do you get back to being a championship contender? Like, think about even Cleveland. Cleveland had LeBron freaking James for what, 7 or 8 years in that first stint, and they couldn't get it done. It's like, even if you land LeBron, like, man, count your blessings. You almost need like a perfect 6-man Nuggets rotation. Even then, you're going to have Anthony Edwards like taking you down 2-0. It's like, it just is. It's a great sport. I've never experienced it when my team is an elite team. I can't imagine how it would feel, man. But as somebody who my whole life the team struggled, it's like how do you check in and really care? You don't. You're clocked out.
If you're not like the Lakers, the Lakers will always be able to spend money, and people will always want to go to LA, so they'll always be fine. The Knicks, people will always want to go play for the Knicks. The Heat, everyone always wants to go to South Beach and go down to Miami. You have to hope you're like the Bucks and you get a guy like Giannis. Mm-hmm. They lucked out and they got Giannis in the draft and they got a title. And as long as he's there, they're going to be a really good team. That's almost what it comes down to. Because like right now, no big time free agent will want to go to the Pistons. Like people talk about Devin Booker because he's from Michigan or whatever. Why would he want to go play for the Pistons? Like he may as well stay in Phoenix and do whatever they're doing, with Durant and Matt Ishbia out there with the Suns. But it's kind of just the way it is. Like the Pacers are maybe a good example. You can kind of build a team. They're still playing. The Cavs, you brought up the Cavs, they got Donovan Mitchell. They drafted a few guys, but they're not like legitimate contenders. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a broken system. You have to just hope you get lucky in the draft. The Celtics drafted Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're able to build around those guys, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then you gotta figure out a way to get one good free agent, I think, and then you gotta, with what you do have, figure out a way to trade like the going to work Pistons. I mean, they put pieces together, not just in the draft, so it can be done, but in today's day and age, it's not quite the same, is it?
It's different.
It's different.
And you got to want to spend money too, because if you want to sign some of those free agents, they're going to want a lot of money. So you got to be willing to spend some money.
It's just, I don't know. But would you guys agree? It's like, I mean, we're kind of overreacting to this lottery thing. It's like
this year,
even if they got the number one pick, like, would you really be like, would we be going, hey, we're going to be their opening night. We're going to be watching. We're buying season tickets now. It's like nothing would change. No. That's my problem with this sport. It's like the NFL draft. Every time the Lions drafted, it's like you almost felt like they could swing all their hopes and luck. Like no matter even how bad it got, unless they would draft a guy like Ebron. It's like, what the hell are we doing? Like this is just plug him in. Like doesn't make a difference even if he is a Hall of Famer. Yeah. You feel like in the NFL, any draft night, any team, that's what's so magical about that Thursday night opening round. 7 quarterbacks going off the board or whatever. Right. All those people think they just drafted their future. It's like the NFL or the NBA draft lottery, actual draft nights. Like you leave it and you go, well, maybe we just drafted a role player. Like if you drafted a role player in the first round, you're feeling good.
Well, here's where we're at as a podcast. I mean, Matt, you might know all these guys in that first 10 or 15 players. I have no clue. I mean, I'm no clue at all because they don't play 4 years.
I mean, Bronny James is the big story.
Yeah, that's the name.
Like we talked, really a little bit before the pod, like whether he has the abilities and whether he's good or not. If you're the Pistons, just draft him. What are we thinking? Why not? Maybe not 5 overall, but hey, let's say the second round comes around, he's sitting there. It's like I'd be chomping at the bit to draft this guy.
Yeah,
like see what happens. He's 6'1". He can maybe develop into a role player. It's going to be a media circus, whether he's playing for Motor City Cruise or whoever. Like, it drums up some excitement. Like at the end of the day, what more do you want? It gives you something to watch.
Yeah.
What else are we going to do with this second round pick? We're not going to be turning the tide on this team that's been in the gutter for the last 10 years with this one pick. It's like, let's have some fun with it. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like that's what's going to happen. So I'm working. The NBA Combine's going on right now. We're recording on Tuesday night, and I'm working it today and tomorrow. And that's everyone's talking about. If Bronny James wasn't Bronny James, he would be in college still. He wouldn't be going into the NBA. But somebody is going to draft him for that reason, and they should. They 100% should. Second round draft picks in the NBA. Okay, Nikola Jokic was drafted in the second round.
Oh, wow.
That's the luckiest thing ever. Most second round draft picks in the NBA, you don't hear about in 2, 3, 4 years. They're overseas or they're stuck in the G League, whatever. So yes, get Bronny James in the second round. Like you said, you're going to sell tickets for your G League team, maybe bring him up for a 10-day stint in the middle of the season. And especially when you play LeBron's team, bring him up. So you sell out your arena because LeBron gets to play against his son. And I saw someone, Tim Legler, on Get Up this morning. He made the point. So LeBron's obviously always talked about wanting to play with his son, kind of like Ken Griffey Sr., Ken Griffey Jr. in the major leagues.
Awesome.
I found out Gordie Howe played against a couple or with a couple of his sons.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. But so if LeBron and Bronny don't play together this year, you'd have to think like that last season of LeBron's career, you might be able to make the pitch to, like, if say the Pistons draft him, play your final season, kind of like Ken Griffey Sr. signed with the Mariners to play with Ken Griffey Jr. that last year of his career or whatever. Do something like that. You might get 1 year out of LeBron because you drafted Bronny.
Or
you may as well. Why not?
Le GM is gonna try to get Bronny on whatever squad he goes to, or if it's the Lakers, like they're gonna make a deal probably above market price for, like you said, the guy wouldn't even be. You have zero idea who he was. You'd be wondering how he got invited to the combine, probably.
Well, here's the question: is he for sure going to get drafted? And what you guys are talking about is for putting butts in the stands. But is he going to get drafted for sure?
I don't think it's like. Here's the thing. Also, it's like, to be an NBA player, nobody's saying he's going to be the next LeBron James.
Right?
Can he fill a role? I think he could. It's not that crazy to say that. Like, we've seen a lot worse players find a role in the NBA. He could do it. And he's got, clearly, I would think his head is on his shoulders. Like, got LeBron guiding the way. I mean, we talk all the time about how smart LeBron is basketball IQ wise. Can they figure out a way for this guy to play? I think they can.
Division I college players that average 5 points a game. Do we see that very often?
True freshmen
Still
in a bit of a shaky environment at USC.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying he's LeBron. I'm not saying he's LeBron. He's
okay.
Guys can find roles. You don't even have to put the ball through the rim to find a role in the NBA.
That's true. Right.
He can shoot, and he's got a big wingspan, and that's what he's hoping. He can be a good defender that can shoot. Right. Is he ever going to be like James Harden? No, probably not. But, if you can find a role, being a defender off the bench and knock down some shots, and you have that James last name, someone's going to sign you. But right, like I said, if he wasn't LeBron's son, no, he probably would not be getting much of a look in the NBA. But there's potential there.
Well, there's some good series going on right now. I mean, this is definitely the time of year to be watching NBA basketball. And, ESPN has their crew and TNT has their crew. And a big story is that, I guess, what is it official? NBC now has won a part of it's not official.
No.
Is it looking like I don't even think it look like it's going to happen or not?
Rumor mill.
I mean, they said that they might announce it before the playoffs are done, so we might find out soon. But yeah, I mean, the NBA rights deals are up, and I mean, ESPN was in the middle of that. Obviously, the big thing you're talking about is TNT, Turner, potentially losing their NBA rights and NBC getting back into the mix. And what that would mean, which stinks for all NBA fans, is probably the best sports studio show out there right now inside the NBA with Ernie, Chuck, Shaq, and Kenny.
Yeah.
It'd be gone.
I'm watching it right now.
Unless NBC or ESPN or someone just shelled out a crap ton of money to bring those guys in. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure I heard that Ernie Johnson is under contract with Turner for a while. So unless he could get some sort of buyout or some non-compete type of thing in his contract, I don't think he can leave Turner. So yeah, it's a shame because that's the best studio show out there. I mean, I don't have to be company man or anything like that. That TNT studio show is the best thing out there. That's why they win every Emmy.
Right. And the thing that's bummer, like, let's say they can keep the main on-air talent together. I mean, we know this, like, a lot behind the scenes is probably the producer, whoever the director, like, that's part of what makes that magic. Obviously, it'd still be a damn good show, if they move to wherever else and they keep those core guys together. But yeah, just a bummer, man, for sure. But we'll see. It's all rumors at this point as well. So who knows?
Just ballpark. Do either of you have any idea what kind of dollars they're talking for that contract?
Oh, how many years? It's in the billions.
Billions.
I was just looking it up. It went up quite a bit. And I feel like even ESPN is getting like secondary rights. They're losing their Friday night NBA. Okay. They're going to have rights to the conference finals and the NBA finals. It's still going to be on ESPN/ABC. But But I'm trying to look at it's in the billions anyway. It's record highest deal in NBA history for rights. And when you see the dollar amount, it's almost like I don't even know how to comprehend that. How does this even make sense right now?
I mean, it's kind of, when you look at a network like TNT, it's their marquee product, isn't it? I mean, I would think it is. I would
March Madness now, but
March Madness, I guess so. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah,
they're part of that too.
76 billion over 11 years.
Wow.
It's a lot of money for a product that most people say no one watches the NBA anymore.
Right, that's a point.
It's kind of crazy, but
yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, people this time of year watching baseball. Tigers were again recording Tuesday night. They lost. They're now, I think, a game under 500. The big story though was, and this is for you guys, the City Connect unis. What did you guys think?
Here we go. I didn't. I thought they were solid. I think with those uniforms, a lot of the other teams we've seen do them. It's like, wow, those are freaking horrendous. And for the most part, I feel like the City Connect jerseys have been kind of a flop. So it's to me, I think it's a win. You saw them, you didn't immediately get disgusted. Like that's, I think, a victory. As crazy as that sounds, I think a lot of them have been really bad. Yes, there's been a few that are like, wow, those are some of the sweetest things I've ever seen. But I think they're batting at about like a 15% rate. So you take your chance. Say, hey, it's solid. Had a few cool touches that they explained, kind of in the rollout. I think it's a solid jersey. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean that's a little more than what I would say. Just very underwhelming to me. I just think they could have done something cooler. The hat, especially, it just says Detroit.
I like the hat, but a lot of people do hate the hat. But I like the hat. Maybe that's just shut up about style.
No, sometimes because it's so simple. That's why the one you're wearing right now, just the Old English D.
Yeah,
that's why it's so cool. It's just nice and simple. It's just the Old English D right there. But like if you're doing some sort of alternate rollout City Connect, it was like you couldn't come up with anything different than that. Also, ultimately, who really cares? It's just an alternate uniform. It was just a little bit like, oh, this is what you came up with? Oh, all right. Cool.
Yeah, and what is the whole idea behind it? I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out. The Detroit Tigers. Well, sell jerseys has got to be it, right? Because I mean, you look at 100%. These franchises, especially like the Detroit Tigers or the New York Yankees. I mean, their branding is their classic uniform and look. Like you said, the Old English D, man. That's all you need. Put a winning team on the field, for crying out loud. That's what we want more than anything. I mean, the jerseys were okay. I mean, I don't like it, but that's the way it is. It's not going to kill me, but I don't like it when they wear them at home. I'd rather see them take that on the road.
Right.
Don't mess
I could agree with that. I think the whole, like the NFL is starting to do a lot with uniforms, and I like that. We talk about uniforms on this podcast a lot. The NBA, I feel like, is where the uniform thing lives. Let the NBA do all the alternates, all the throwbacks, all the, City Connect and all these ones, because they wear different uniforms almost every night, it seems like. And, I think that's kind of fun. Baseball, though, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's because it's baseball and, it's America's pastime or something. I don't want to see the Yankees in some weird throwback, or maybe a throwback, but not some weird alternate. I just want the pinstripes. I just want the Yankee pinstripes. Same with the Tigers. Yeah, on the road, okay, do something if you want. They should have just done what the Lions did just recently. Lions brought back the more classic 90s look. I wish the Tigers would have went back to that like late 80s, 90s road look where it said Detroit across the chest with the, the orange and blue on the sleeve.
Yeah, I love those jerseys.
Just go back to that if you do something.
Jerseys.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I get a lot nostalgic, especially when it comes to baseball. Think about if you're a 12-year-old kid and your dad barely is able to scrounge up tickets to take you to a game, and you go to a Tiger game and your game is the City Connect uniforms. You don't get to see the classic Detroit uniforms. How would that suck? That would be awful.
I don't think that you're really like, I don't even like, you're romanticizing that scenario.
Maybe
I am. Cool. I was down at the park when they unveiled them. They got all the scoreboards or have the same like blue tiger look. A lot of cool kind of like things that I could think enhance the experience a little bit. on a Friday night. I think is when they're going to wear them, Friday night home games.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know. I appreciate the sentiment of that, but I think it's a little bit of a stretch that
maybe
the kids are going to love it. The kid's going to love it probably when he shows up and sees these uniforms.
I was going to say, I agree with you, Ted, but maybe this is kind of marketed towards kids.
Right.
So, maybe the kids do like the alternate. Oh, I get the City Connect one, whatever. But
no, but it's like they definitely left a little to be desired.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like people who like are from like, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn saying this. I'm not from Detroit. But it's like, I mean, how much can we hammer home the whole Motor City like thing? I mean, it kind of built the city, but also kind of destroyed it. Like in the same way, like maybe we could lean into something else rather than the Motor City all the time with everything. Pistons alternate jerseys always Motor City shit. It's like, I'm just the 313. I don't know. We need a breath of fresh air, I think. But again, I thought they were solid. I didn't hate them. I think the number one critique a lot of people threw out was like maybe they could use a little bit more orange, a little bit more color. But I think the whole blue is kind of what they're going for. So
yeah,
I hate them, but definitely think I could have made better jerseys myself. But
well, we'll live with them. Let's just, like I said, let's get a few more wins, boys. Back to basketball for a second. As we've talked about, we're recording this on the night Caitlin Clark makes her debut as the WNBA gets underway. It's gonna be big. Now the big thing that we got to watch down the road, will they keep this momentum? Will they keep building on this? People want to see the debut and everything else, but will they be able to keep it? I guess that's the big question.
And because she's basically sold out every game so far of the season, all of her team's home games are sold out.
Yep.
So, right now everything's hot. Like you said, you just hope that they can build up the momentum, because it is cool to see, not acting like we're going to sit here and watch every single WNBA game this season, but it's cool to see that league build some momentum and get some more notoriety. The big thing for her too is going to be, I don't know, like keeping up with expectations, because she is a rookie going into the professional league. And I mean, it's only happened one time in the WNBA for a player to get Rookie of the Year and MVP. Candace Parker did it. Right. And really, it's only happened one time in the NBA too. Wes Olmstead did it way back in the day.
Wow.
Rookie of the Year and MVP. So she's going to have growing pains. She's not going to play like she did. In fact, right now, I watched the first half before we started recording. She had like 4 turnovers.
Yeah, she's got 8 right now. 9 turnovers right now.
So. Yeah, so she's struggling. She's got 20 points.
Right.
But like 10 turnovers, and she's going against professionals now.
Exactly.
She's not playing in Big Ten women's basketball anymore. So there's going to be growing pains. She's going to have games where she maybe only scores 8 points and has 10 turnovers, but then she might have a game where she drops 30 and hits 9 threes. So that's what you hope happens. People don't, if she has a stretch where she has 3, 4, 5 kind of not so good games, people don't just sell out.
And I really think that I wouldn't put too much into this rookie season.
Right.
One, just played a full 40-game season of women's college basketball. Jump right into the W. It's like the longest season anyone's ever had for these rookies. She's gonna have a big time target on her back. Definitely, probably I don't know. I haven't watched any of the games tonight, but the players she's going against are probably so amped up to shut her down that I think it's just gonna be tough sledding. Also, she's on the worst team in the league, so right. I think it might be a little bit rough at the start, but I'm not worried no matter what happens tonight. First month, this entire season. Let's see what happens and give it 3 years. By then, I think we can come to a conclusion what type of player she's going to be. At the end of the day, I mean, we talk about her whatever her legacy, she's got to win a title. In my opinion, WNBA.
Yep.
She's always going to be electric. We're always going to have that college career and how electric twice. How that awesome that really was. But got to win a title to really be up there with the GOAT. The GOAT conversation in WNBA, in my opinion.
For sure.
I have one thing I got to throw out real quick. It's been kind of stuck in my crawl for a while. Real quick, this is a jumping off point for this segment, but did you guys see the new NCAA 2025 cover? Donovan Edwards.
Yeah.
Basically out of nowhere as the cover athlete. I mean, us as Michigan fans, I think we're all kind of shocked. I mean, he didn't even start last year. I mean, he did have 2 big-time touchdowns in the national title game. And I guess who else would they have put, in front and center? There's a Quinn Ewers, is it Shadur Sanders? I don't know. So it makes sense. Let's just put maybe the best player returning on the national championship team. I just thought that was kind of cool. What did you guys make of the cover? Did you think it was a little bit bizarre that Donovan Edwards is the head guy?
No, I mean, I absolutely loved it. as a Michigan fan, of course, that the last NCAA football game had Denard Robinson on the cover. Now it comes back and Donovan Edwards is on it. Yeah, he among whatever 14 other guys, but he's the one that's front and center. So obviously it was a huge topic on Twitter, opposing fan bases. How is this guy that didn't even start, only rushed for like 500 yards last year? How was he the front center cover on this, going crazy? I understand opposing fan bases, they're not going to like it. They hate everything that has to do with Michigan. If you haven't watched college football in the last 3 years, I understand wondering, if you just look at the box scores, how is this guy on the cover? But if you have watched Michigan, he is the star returning to this team because yes, Blake Corum was the guy. But the times that Edwards had to step in when Corum was hurt, or like you said in the national title game this year, he was every bit starting running back at any other school in the country. He just was behind Blake Corum. Right. So no, the stats don't tell the story of what Donovan Edwards has done for Michigan. He deserves to be there. He hasn't transferred. That's such a cool story. He could have bounced 2 years ago and went and started at Illinois or, something like that. But it was funny. Seeing the other fan bases meltdown was funny.
Yeah, it just was. I think there's a case to be made. Like, obviously they did it for a reason. Just if you would have asked me, guess 10 players who are going to be on the cover of this game, he's not in the top 10 of who I would have guessed. Right. As a Michigan fan, it's an interesting choice. I'm excited to see what he does this year. I think he's either going to have kind of a dud of a season or he's going to rush for 2,000 yards. I really don't see any in between with him next year. So I'll be curious to see. But the reason I threw out NCAA football, so this is a topic that was kind of hot a week or two ago. Colorado Buffaloes. Just give me 3 minutes on these guys, man. We talked about last year. I said it off the top. Game 1 last year. TCU versus Colorado was my number one game of the season last year. It was a quote unquote "where were you" type game. It was so cool. They burst onto the scene. They bring in all these recruits, as Deion Sanders said, I'm bringing Louis at his introductory meeting with the Colorado team at the time. They beat TCU. Just was in the championship game a year ago. Shadur Sanders looking like Tom Brady. I'd never seen him play. Who is this guy? Wow, he's a stud. But the more and more time has passed since that initial burst, which was one of the 3-week highlights last year, was that Colorado run to start the year. But my God, everything since then has been hell. They're arguing prime time. Shadur arguing with a kid who transferred out, calling him a scrub, saying he's mid, saying all this stuff that you just don't see college coaches doing. And I get it's Deion. He doesn't necessarily have to operate under the same rules. But the thing that's really been jarring to me is the recruiting rankings. I mean, dude, Northwestern is ahead of them right now. I'm looking at it right now. They are 81st next year in recruiting. They're losing transfers like it's nothing. They've lost 24 players to the transfer portal this year since April 16th. A couple of those guys are key players, like their stud running back last year. I mean, Cormani McLean, this cornerback who was a 5-star, one of his biggest recruits 2 years ago. Think about it. These are the transfers he brought in, and they're not staying. This whole shtick, which in my opinion was only going to work if they were getting elite recruiting classes, number one in the country type recruiting classes. I think that's what we all expected to happen, especially after the TCU game. They're going to be dominating recruiting for the next 10 years, and they're just going to figure it out on the field. Because basically, from what I'm hearing, Deion Sanders is basically a figurehead. He's really not even a coach. Basically, just lets his coordinators do their thing. They're essentially the coaches. He's just the guy out there in the public eye doing 60-minute interviews and supposedly what I thought would be elite recruiter. But what the hell's going on? I mean, I'm hearing stories about this program. It's laughable. It's like stuff you hear about a high school program. And I remember just recently, it was Shiloh and Shadur missed spring practices so they could go on a fashion shoot in Milan. And Deion's backing it up, saying, "Yeah, these guys, I want them to be well-rounded individuals." That's great. That doesn't win you football games, and it's not a good look any way you slice it. I'm just so out on Colorado now. Believe me, I'll be cheering for them if they somehow pull a miracle and are a damn good team next year. But guess what? I'm going to be one of those haters that's kind of rooting for them to get some comeuppance, man. It's just, what the hell's going on over there?
What you think, Ted?
What do I think?
Are you out on prime time?
I don't give a damn. Jared laid it out. I mean, he does seem like he's a figurehead. He's in front of the cameras. Is he really doing serious coaching? I don't know. We'll see. But that doesn't seem like it.
That's why, to me, it was always going to be, can he actually coach? He's Deion Sanders. In theory, he could recruit guys to come there. Obviously, it's not really panning out right now, but it was always going to be, can you actually coach? Yep. They started off hot last year, and then we clearly saw what the team really was. They finished 3-9 or whatever.
4-8,
so yeah. So I mean, whether he figures it out or not, who knows? That's why when Nick Saban retired and people were saying Deion Sanders to Alabama, it was like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Deion Sanders is never going to be the head coach at Alabama. I'm not taking a shot at Juwan because I am still a Juwan Howard fan, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of that. I think Juwan Howard can actually coach. I just don't know if college basketball is where he should be, but it seems like a little bit like that. Came in, hot name, going to recruit like crazy, but didn't quite have the coaching thing figured out. I don't know if it's as extreme, with Deion or whatever, but it sure seems like it's more like a showcase thing than an actual football program.
It's like literally, it's like, dude, it's like, think about what, like, I think coaching is such a noble job, and I'm hearing stories, reports. He doesn't even know players' names. He calls them all child of prime. So he, what? What leading and molding of young men is going on here, where your leader is going back and forth with some scrub-a-dub who just transferred out. It's right. I just don't know how you send your kid to Colorado with feeling like they're going to get the most out of this college experience. Right. I mean, Shedeur, it seems like his number one concern is basically his kids, which good. You should. That's your dad. Your kids are important, but you can't have that same vibe when you're in charge of it. When you basically have 100 kids every year. I mean, he's making more comments about Shedeur going top 5. Listen, I'm going to put my draft prediction out now. I don't understand the buzz about this guy. I really don't. I saw he's going to mock to go number 1 overall next year. They went 4-8. They went 4-8. Did you watch that Oregon game? They couldn't move the ball more than 10 yards. I get he had maybe this offensive line that wasn't great, but I just really think they're due for a big time, wow, this is really, really bad, type season. I hope it's not. I'll be watching whether they are great, whether they're bad. And that's what kind of the magic of primetime and Deion and what they've built. But it's how do you still root for this team with all these news stories coming out day after day? I really don't get it.
Yeah. And it might be when Shedeur leaves, because he is, he's a pretty good quarterback. He's going to be in the NFL. That might be when we really see it. When he has no quarterback and, no one there, it might, the wheels might really fall off. I was going to throw one more thing out real quick before we move on. We're starting to get heavy. So I was at Quail Hollow this past weekend. The Wells Fargo Championship was here in Charlotte, and Quail Hollow Golf Club. It's about 10 minutes from where we live, and I got tickets through work to go. So got to go on Thursday, and I followed Rory around for a couple hours. Rory ended up winning it on Sunday, pulled away and won. He's playing really great right now, but it was cool to follow him around and see him up close on Thursday because, it wasn't as busy on Thursday. So we were pretty close watching him play. Quail Hollow, though, it's such an incredible course. The President's Cup was there 2 years ago. The PGA Championship is going to be there next year. So, I mean, it's one of the better courses on the tour.
If you're hosting majors, I mean, there's nowhere to go but down in terms of course quality. I'm not super familiar with Quail Hollow, but I mean, what a great name. Yeah. Stop with the name Quail Hollow.
Got your hat.
Is it an owl on your hat, or what is that exactly?
It's a quail.
Oh, yeah, good point.
It's a quail.
Yeah, it's a quail. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What did you make? I mean, from what I hear, I haven't been to a PGA Tour event. I guess I went 3-4 years ago. The thing that always blows me away, man, they how you go to an NFL game, wow, they're faster than you even imagine. A PGA event, you're sitting there watching Rory. It's wow, the ball just flies off the club a little bit different than anything you've ever seen before.
No, the sound off the club was just deafening. When he would hit a drive, it was just like.
Yeah.
His Thursday he played with Max Homa also, and he played pretty well too. So yeah, just the way in the way they dial in every shot. I mean, they rarely miss a shot, and I mean from the fairway, from the bunker, wherever they're at, they're just so good. But the sound of the ball off the tee is just insane with some of these guys. But the big thing, so the PGA Championship is this week,
right?
At Valhalla, and that's the last place that he won.
Yep.
You know, Rory obviously is in or last place that he won a major. He's in a major drought, and the last place he won a major was Valhalla, 2014.
He's playing well.
PGA Championship. He's playing well. So you putting money on Rory?
Oh, it's
Jared,
ironic. I have it written down. I have 3 picks. Rory McIlroy, number 1. He's the people's choice this week. I mean, plus 700. The ironic thing is, like, there's a lot of correlations. He's playing super well. Like you said, just won last week. He just went through basically just got divorced, just got announced today. So ironically, that 2014 when he won 2 majors, I think he had 4 total wins, 3 runner-up finishes in 2014, like his best season ever. He called off his marriage in the May of 2014. Quote unquote. I thought this quote was funny, so I just got him to throw it out there. It really has no meaning, but quote unquote from 2014. The problem is mine, McIlroy said in a statement. The wedding invitations issued at the weekend, issued this weekend, made me realize that I wasn't ready for all that marriage entails. I wish Caroline all the happiness she deserves and thank her for the great times we've had. I think that's funny. Just sent out wedding invitations, realizing, yeah, this ain't it. I'm calling it. But as soon as that happened, he played the best golf of his life. Just announced a divorce today. I mean, it lines up. I mean, like you said, 2014 last win at Valhalla, won last week. I mean, outside of Scheffler, who, like, if you're a betting man and you're just saying gun to your head, who's going to win this week? If you don't take Scheffler, you're just being an idiot. Yeah. But outside of Scheffler, who is I think plus 300 right now, Rory's plus 700. How do you not love Rory? Plus, we talked about how much we're rooting for that guy to win a major, how it would really be the big oomph I think golf needs right now. So I'm with you. 7-1, Rory McIlroy. Why not? Throw $10 on it, root for him all weekend.
Do it.
That's exactly what I did. I put $10 on him after seeing him last week in person. I was like, $10 at the PGA. You sold me even more now.
Surely we'll be sitting here disappointed. I just kind of been the story of Rory lately, but man, if the stars ever aligned, how is it not this week? Really? Yep. Another one. This is kind of a hard pick. This reminds me a lot of Kentucky and John Calipari, where I'm just going to ride this train wherever it goes till it totally falls off. John Rahm, 18-1. He really seems like a person in crisis right now on the outside looking in. I think he made the jump to live, and he's really regretting it. To me, it seems like a decision he made probably with his head, not necessarily his heart. As soon as he jump shipped, he just realized what a brutal mistake he made. So I think he's in a bit of, kind of a midlife golf crisis. I think he's going to go one of two ways. He struggled at the Masters. I think he finished 45th with +9, barely made the cut. So I think really the wheels are either about to fall off or he's about to ascend in this highly competitive situation that he hasn't been exposed to a ton in live. So I like him at 18-1. I mean, he's fallen outside of the top 40 in back-to-back PGA championships last 2 years. And I really think the odds are kind of shitty. Like, I think he should be more at like 25-1, but 18-1, picking it with my heart, John Rahm. I'll be happy if he struggles. I'll still be glad that I made the bet because he's my guy. This last one, I'll make it quick. Cam Smith, 30-1. I love this pick as well. It's probably my favorite kind of long shot pick. This is probably where I think the best value is. I mean, he's finished top 15 in his last 2 PGA championships. He's literally statistically the best putter in live. Essentially, for my money, the best putter in all of golf. You take that, plus he has a kind of a flair for the dramatic and loves the big crowds, the big moments. He always plays well on Sundays. So just point blank period, give me the best putter, give me the guy who loves the big moment, give me a guy who always plays well on Sundays. I'll take my chances with him at 30-1. So those are my 3 really quick picks. I love those guys.
Nothing for Tiger. You don't think Tiger has any shot?
No. He can't put together. He can't play. Yeah. It's sad. He can't
play 4 rounds.
And what it takes.
Yeah.
If golf was a 18-hole championship, I would still take him over just about anybody. But I just it's past his prime.
Yeah.
It's sad to see.
Well, it's not like Nicklaus. Nicklaus didn't go through all that he went through.
Right.
Age. If it was just his age and he didn't have all those injuries that he had to deal with, you'd still think he'd have a chance, but no, 100%. There's just no way.
Yeah, he can't. I mean, he even said, I think, at the Masters, like after Thursday, he felt okay. After Friday, he was like, I can't walk. I
know the making the cut at the Masters is a big streak for him. I think that's kind of your
cool.
barometer. Do you play well? Do you make the cut?
Right.
That's kind of where I'm at with him right now. But honestly, the other big kind of mini story, I didn't have time to triple check. I'm almost positive Michael Block, the big story from last year, is back. he qualified. I think because of how well he played last year. I'm 99% sure he's back and playing in this field. I mean, you talk about a guy who had a meteoric rise and then almost like a meteoric fall. And he's still like, I think a lot of people still like him, but just how the comment came out where he basically said he's one of the best golfers in the world. If he could drive it as far as Rory, he'd be the best golfer in the world.
Right.
He made that comment, and then basically everybody turned on him ASAP. So I'm just curious to see what he does this week. If he plays well, how awesome would that be to see? If he really struggles, people are going to be also paying attention to that as well. So kind of a little side quest as you're watching this weekend. Michael Block wearing the hats I hate. Raw. Just says raw. He'll be wearing it, man. So I can't wait to see that.
Yep, he is playing. I did see that too. I completely forgot about him. He burst onto the scene, and then some of the stories came out about maybe not the nicest guy in the world.
Little too big for his britches, man.
Right.
I mean, if fame gets a hold of you, it happened to any of us. If that whole whirlwind happened, just got a little too, little over his skis with some of the comments he was making. So we'll see. It's gonna be fun to see, no matter how he finishes this weekend.
All right. Well, we'll be tuned in for sure. I'll watch Sunday. That's for sure. It's going to be fun. All right. Well, we'll be right back. We are running a little long, but we'll be back with the Prep Spotlight right after this. All right, guys, I'm going to jump right into the Prep Spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance Agency. We'll start in track and field. Morris girls got a GAC three-peat, and the boys finished second. Aubrey Rogers led the girls, winning the 300-meter hurdles. The Corunna boys and Owasso both won the Flint Metro. The Cavs won 8 of 17 events for their 9th straight league crown. Wyatt Bauer broke his 200-meter record at 21.81. He also, he also broke the 200. Owasso won 7 events as Gabby Huffnagel won 4 of those. So they got a good girls track team. In baseball, Owasso took 2 out of 3 from Corunna. Cavaliers Logan Vowell had a walk-off homer for the Cavaliers, win 1-0 with a ground rule double. And Perry, they won the 4-team Fulton tourney as Michael Werner got the W in the championship game over the host Pirates. How about this, Matt? Leadoff man Brady Burns, 2 hits, scored 3 runs.
Yep.
Got to send the shout out there.
Yeah, they won that tournament last year too. So back-to-back Fulton champs. Perry Ramblers.
In golf, Owasso improved to 6-3 in the Metro, beating Goodrich 165-169. Ryan Dahl, a couple birdies on his way to a par 36. And Ovid Elsie clinched the MMAC title in soccer with an 8-0 win over Durand. Amy Davis led the way with 2 goals. You know, the big story out of the MHSAA was they announced 2 new sports. They're going to have boys volleyball and girls field hockey. I think it's about time. I mean, I think, men's volleyball at the Olympics has been big for a long time, and it's about time they got it to the high school level.
Yeah, it's funny. We posted this on our we posted this on our Facebook page. And I threw a comment out there that 20 years ago when I was in high school, and it was actually earlier, coming out of middle school into high school, we started petitioning for boys volleyball to come and be a sport because a bunch of us were like, we wanted boys volleyball and to be able to play 2 sports because we wanted to be able to play. It was going to be a winter sport. We wanted to be able to play basketball and volleyball, and it obviously got turned down back then, but it's cool. I'll be curious to see, obviously the interest, how many people actually come out. Does every school have it? Because obviously, like right now, lacrosse is a big sport down here in the Carolinas or up in New England, like Connecticut and Boston, all up there. Lacrosse is huge. I know lacrosse is a sport in Michigan, but not every school has it as an option. So I wonder if it's going to be the same with these 2 new sports that you just mentioned. And then also, like, does it take athletes away from other sports and start to affect, the involvement, with the other sports? So yeah, we'll see. It's cool though to have the options. It's cool.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great sport. Volleyball, I was never good at it. It's always terrible, but I think it's a great sport. I really do think it's going to maybe emerge as the premier men's sport in the spring. Really? I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah. If you're a basketball stud, I mean, there's men's volleyball like in college, right? Like you can get scholarships from this shit. Like,
absolutely.
Well, I don't know. If you're a stud basketball player, 6'5", like where are you going to be better off? Playing first base on a baseball team, or like let's get you as a spiker, whatever they call it in men's volleyball. I think it'll be cool. I'm really excited to see what it looks like.
It should be, yeah. And it's like we said, more opportunities for them. All right, that was the Prep Spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance Agency. For all your insurance needs, see the good folks at Jacobs. I think, guys, instead of having a separate Tedertainment, I got a couple quick things. Unfrosted, that still can.
Gosh.
Well, I just want to throw that out there. That again is it's a generational thing, I think. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, Matt, but it's a generational thing.
Haven't yet, so we don't have to throw shade at the person who texted our group and took a shot at Ted, took a shot at your review, Ted. We don't have to mention names.
No, that's quite all right.
But someone, a listener, a friend of the pod, said that Ted was basically crazy for calling Unfrosted good. I'm still going to give it a shot. I really am. We haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay.
I'm still going to give it a watch. I want to see. I'm curious.
I think the exact quote was, "It's an hour and a half of my life I'll never get back, and it's the worst movie I've ever seen."
And then my comeback was, if it's the worst movie you've ever seen, why would you spend an hour and a half watching it? Why wouldn't you bail out?
Listen, I here, this is taking on a life of its own. I spoke my mind what I thought of that because I haven't seen it yet. I was really excited when they first announced what this movie was. Then I saw the trailer, and everybody else saw the trailer and said, "Wow, this is going to be bad." And I really do value your movie review opinions, but I mean, just as a fan of Tedertainment tonight, you can't throw out some duds, and we still view these reviews the same way. That's me. I know you didn't target the review to me. You said Matt would enjoy it. That's my thought.
And the whole point of it is, when I give a review, there will be reviews I give that I would recommend to anybody. This one I did not recommend to everybody. Right. It's a special niche that's going to enjoy this. And as we had talked in our text, 3 out of our 5 family members enjoyed it. 1 is out, and one hasn't seen it yet because he doesn't have Netflix. So we'll see what happens when he gets hooked up.
Those are pretty good odds.
Yeah. I do have one other comment, Jared. You'll laugh at this too. We were a couple weeks ago talking about OJ passing away.
Right.
The definitive OJ show you gotta watch. I just watched it again. Was the 30 for 30 OJ Made in America. For you, young man, if you haven't seen it, it will tell you everything you need to know.
You watched it again? You just watched it again?
I did.
This never ends. This OJ, I love it. I love it. You know, I'm not even gonna hate on it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, that one you ought to watch as a history assignment and see what the story about OJ is all about. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. No, I'm not going to hate on that. You know what? I think I have to do it just for this pod.
It's good. I forget though. Remind me. It's like a 4-part.
4-part. Yeah. I watched the first part. I should be completely honest. I haven't watched all 4 parts yet, but I will. I'm in the middle of it. So I'm going to finish it off. And the part that the part 1 kind of sets the stage, how he was so good as a football player. So there you go.
I remember watching it when it came out, and it won basically every award, and everyone puts it up there with The Last Dance as, like, you know, maybe the best 30 for 30. I don't know if I'll rewatch it anytime soon. The OJ story is great too, but I don't know if I'll be rewatching that anytime soon. I would recommend anyone who hasn't give it a watch. We did finish Baby Reindeer. So Ted, if you guys are looking for something on Netflix to get into,
absolutely. I haven't started it yet, but
I brought it up last week. 7 episodes, half hour each. So I mean, you can really watch it in definitely one weekend. Really good. I mean, we talked about it last week. Crazy story. It's based on a true story. The main actor essentially plays himself, you know, change the names and stuff like that. But, you know, it's a story about what he went through. He wrote it, directed, I think, every episode, or at least some of the episodes. So the writing is fantastic. He's a great actor. His, I guess, co-star, if you want to say, the female in the movie, is great at the role that she plays. It really is. It's very good. I would, you know, there's, I guess, maybe some parts that are kind of intense to watch, but not anything inappropriate or nothing bad. But it's a crazy story about a stalker. We talked about it last week. He's a struggling comedian with a stalker, and just super good. I would highly recommend that.
Definitely going to check that one out. All right, fellas, if we don't have anything else to get into, let's call this a podcast. want to thank the great folks again at Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center for being our top dog. Talk to a rep or go online, see what discounts are available for memberships. Get healthy, get yourself in shape. Find your details at memorialhealthcare.org. Also, our other partners, which we do appreciate very much, AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. We'll talk to you next time.